Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
Have you drawn up a customer blueprint for your small business? Or, if you're starting out, have you done your market research and surveyed your potential customer base? If not, you might be missing out on potential profits. From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. Ruchi Gupta is the founder and CEO of the Launchpad Co. And she says far too many small businesses have failed to do their due diligence when it comes to customers. But she says that if a few steps are taken, the issues can be recovered. Ruchi Gupta begins by telling Jeff Waters what makes a company customer-focused.
When I was doing my master's at Monash University, I came across a quote, perception is reality, which basically means that the impression you give of something is what defines you. It may be the truth, may not be the truth, but it's all about the impression. And that's what marketing is all about, right? It's about perception. What you show and what you give is what you're defined by. So how do we create this perception? I guess for any business, the first and foremost thing is understanding your customer. Who are they? What are their needs? What are their pain points? And where are your customers found? Geographically, digitally, more importantly, I guess, now as we're moving into a digital world. Once you know this, I guess you're in a space to then start thinking about your value proposition. And value proposition, look, is very important. It needs to speak to your customer. It's that connection between a company and a customer. And a good customer-centric company has a great value proposition that speaks to its customers, but then also flows through everything you do. So your company branding, your marketing activities, your order fulfillment procedures, customer service, and so on. If you are customer focused, trust me, it shows. Apple is a perfect example of that.
In what sense?
It understands the needs of its customers. When Apple started, their focus was to capture that young market. They've created products that are digitally savvy for customers that are digitally savvy. And whatever they do, you see massive lines outside Apple stores whenever a new phone is about to launch, right? Why? Because they speak to their customers. They market it in a way that it connects to their customer. So being a truly customer-centric company, if you don't have that connection, you will not get customers. And if you've got no customers, then we all know what that means for the bottom line of a company and the longevity of a business.
What are some of the common mistakes that businesses make in this regard?
I think the biggest thing is not understanding your customers. Companies can spend thousands of dollars to build an ace app and product because they strongly believe that there's a market for it, but they often neglect the most important part. They don't include customer testing and feedback in the design phase. Collecting customer data is very important because it gives you some valuable insight into what the customer really thinks and wants. So if you don't do your due diligence and understand your customers properly, it's very hard to know what they want. And you know what? In fact, my own thinking is that if you study your customers well enough, you sometimes hear things that they haven't said. And what I mean by that is that it opens up possibilities for new inventions, for things that they even don't realize that they need. So there's plenty of customer experience tools that we can use and that I urge everyone to look at. So if you are starting out as a new business, make sure you do your customer surveys and that you include them in the testing phase.
You've spoken in the past about customer blueprints. Is that what you're talking about?
So customer blueprints are a great tool for businesses that exist, especially service businesses. So think a restaurant, for an example. How you would go about doing a customer blueprint is you would take the process map, you would build a process map from end to end from a service perspective. So you would map out your service elements. So from the time someone books to come to your restaurant till the time that they depart, you need to map out that process. You need to talk about where are all the customer touch points. Now, what can go wrong at each of those touch points? If something was to go wrong, how do I fix that situation? If you're thinking of that ahead of time, means you're able to plan ahead for an issue before it rises. So say, for example, you walk into a restaurant, you have a booking for 7:30, but guess what? The earlier patron, they haven't left. So how do we fix that situation? Now, if I walked into a restaurant, I'd be pretty angry, right? So maybe, the provision of a bar, that creates a diversion as well. And it also means that, someone sitting at the bar might actually end up spending, $50 extra because they've paid for an extra drink. I'm not saying exploit your customers, but you need to think about enough diversions to increase and improve your customer experience, to say.
And how does that relate to market research?
Look, it's a core part of market research in that once you understand all the issues that can arise from a service point of view, you're planning ahead and you're thinking about all your mitigation strategy as well. So here's a risk that may present itself. It's like insurance, right? Risk management is like insurance. You may or may not ever need it, but you need to plan ahead. So if you're thinking about what can go wrong, means you're better prepared in terms of how to manage it if it does go wrong. Instead of having that traditional inside-out view of the world, you're thinking from a customer's perspective of how you can influence that business to create a better experience.
There's obviously a pandemic going on. How has that changed businesses before and after the pandemic?
I think what we all realized is that customer needs and demands can change very, very quickly. And we've seen that, with the global markets shutting down. There were a lot of my customers that were getting raw materials from overseas that had to quickly adapt because things were sitting at the docks for many, many months. I guess for any business that wants to thrive, they need to learn to be agile. And they need to respond to changes quickly, which is why I always say you need to think 5 years ahead. You need to have contingency plans in place. You always need a plan B. With any business, service, product, any business that you're in, you need to always have a contingency. You need to look at your own capability. And if there's something that you cannot deliver, you need to think about collaboration with others that can help you deliver.
How do you incorporate customer values in your own business?
Well, my team and I are all very focused on delivering valuable and ethical customer service. So, sometimes things might take slightly longer than expected, but that's because we want to do what's right by our customers and we want to deliver value. That's what we're based on. Our core values are authenticity and honesty. So, and we're very, very thorough in what we do. So, look, where possible, we always try to deliver optimal outcomes. Obviously, sometimes, with things like tenders and grants, things are outside of control. But where possible, we work to our best abilities. And during this time, look, I've had many, many customers come back as repeat business. I've built some great network partnerships. I think that just speaks for itself.
Did you do your customer blueprint?
I have, actually. I did it just 6 months ago.
And how did you find that exercise?
It was good. And since then, I haven't stopped talking about it. I've told everyone that I know about it because I think it's definitely worth the effort and the time. And doing it as a team, and where possible, I've built some really strong networks in that I've got some of my customers have become really good friends. So including them in the process has been really valuable as well.
That was Ruchi Gupta, founder and CEO of the Launchpad Co. Business Essentials Daily is a SoundCartel podcast. Producers are Nick Schilberger, Chris Ashmore, Jeff Waters and myself. Technical production by Pete Letts and Belinda Trimboli. I'm Nicole Goodman. Thanks for listening. We'll bring you more Be Daily next week. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.